Alrighty, yoga is Thursday. So I thought it would be fun to do more chest opening stuff today, some shoulder opening stuff, in lieu of my forearm stand thought process and how I'm going to do my tutorial for that. So this will be kind of like just me creatively trying to figure out how to work the movement mechanics a little bit through the poses and helping people create space in interesting ways. With some really good foundations and like yoga techniques that I've explored over the years. So as usual, please take this to the range of motion that's safe for you. Skip things that don't feel right for your body. I will say a lot of this space up here that we're going to tap into though can be uncomfortable, right? A little bit more emotional sometimes in this kind of diamond zone. So just take it one step at a time. If you start to feel a really big burst, you might just sit with that for a little bit, especially with all the stuff that's happening right now. I think that's pretty common. We are going to use blocks for sure. If you don't have blocks, you could take some books, something that can give you a little bit more hardiness underneath you, but I would definitely find maybe like a blanket or something that you can roll and put underneath you too. What else? And we're going to use, potentially, you may or may not need this, but I have like some long socks that we'll be using, or straps. I just find for what we're going to use this for, the straps can sometimes just be really long and distracting, and a sock is pretty good. So to get started today, we're just going to start in a seat. And you can start on a block if it feels good to sit. And you can do this with your knees behind you, or, I'm not behind you, but underneath you, or down. And we're essentially going for right now, actually I'm going to sit like this. It's going to be more comfortable for me. We're going for not a lot of tension in the hip fold, a long spine, and just a very centered focus. We're going to do a little bit of just finding the presence work, and then we're going to do some Kapalabhati breathing, so some fire breathing. So initially, just give yourself space to drop into your work, especially because we're tapping into the chest space. You might decide to really listen to that area, right? So when you're breathing without changing anything necessarily, unless you're right into some technical style that you like, think about from your base of the chin, down the throat line, down the sternum line, to where the base of that V of the rib cage is in the front, expanding. And then at the top of the breath, try to hit it from the shoulder all the way across. So you're making this full movement of that diamond in the front. And then kind of go around the rib cage like that. So not just front, but think about the same idea from the sides, like down the neck all the way to the base, bottom, lowest ribs along the sides, and then across the landscape of the ribs underneath the armpit to the front. So you're getting that full view. You can do the same thing for the back, right? Lengthening through the back of the neck, all the way down at the base of that rib cage, and then expanding across the shoulder blades. Try to let the arms hang or drop or place them in a place that you're not lifting the tops of the shoulders. Maintain good posture so we aren't starting to sink and crunch the front of the chest. And just keep swirling around with the breath mentally. Find a very circular, big, fluid breath in. Fill up the whole circumference of your ribs. And then a full exhale, empty. Good. Slowly open the eyes, move the neck around. So we're just going to build a little bit of heat and a little bit of pushing out of the breath, kind of cleaning it out a bit with the Kapalabhati breathing. So we're going to go nice and slow. If you do feel like you can pick the pace up though, halfway through, or like towards the, after we've been doing it for a few moments, definitely go faster. But the emphasis here is to snap the belly back, so the belly goes in, as the breath goes out of the mouth, right? You're gonna make this pretty dynamic. Don't worry about your inhale. The inhale is gonna get suctioned in by that vacuum push, and we're just gonna go nice and easy. So first, just clear the throat and swallow. To prepare with this, we're gonna take one breath in at the beginning, inhale through your nose and push your belly out. Now nice and slow, exhale, 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 exhale. Belly pulls in, 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 in. Keep going. Maybe faster. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now try to exhale completely. It's a little bit of an ab workout to work that, so take a moment, move your head, shrug the shoulders, lift the lips. Let's make a face, blah. Okay, so from here, try to find your block or something that you're going to use. We're going to lay down, and we're just going to start to passively open the chest. We're going to face them so they can see it. So if your block height, these are short, so I'm using 2. I would put it like on the flat palm side. And you're going to try to put it right about there, maybe a little bit lower, higher. Your head, if you have a block for your head, an extra one, you can put it right next to the block and lay your head there. We're going to support the head with the arms. So for this exercise, you want your butt down and you want a nice slant from your bottom ribs to the floor. And if this feels like too much, you could also fold a blanket up and put it in your low back space if that's uncomfortable. Knees can be up, or knees together and feet wider, or knees butterfly open. But what we don't want is a gripping happening through here. There will be a little bit of engagement, but you do want to feel like you can relax the space. Now, as you can see, Gavin has his hands there already. He's holding the back of his head with a 10-finger grip. And for now, he's letting his elbows go out as wide as they'll go. And he's getting this nice long stretch from pubic bone all along the front line. So initially, with this, you're just going to let it kind of settle here. We're going to play with a little bit of arm movement as an option in a moment, but for now we just want to notice what's available to us in the chest and how that feels just to let it open here. And just like we sat upright, try to find the breathing. Your back obviously is going to be a little harder to access from behind you. So notice when you fill up your inhales and exhales where that space is going along the front or where it's not going, even more so. You're not necessarily trying to excessively back bend in the neck here. I would try to get your chin to a point where you're not gripping the throat, but you can kind of hold it with your arms more too. And again, you could put a block or something underneath your head for more comfort. Now from here, you're going to take your elbows at shoulders width distance, and they might have to go wider, and you're going to try to keep your booty pushing down, your sit bones down, and then you're going to pull your elbows away from your sit bones. So this isn't a very big movement, it's just an isolation. Try to get your bottom ribs to pull from the hips. So it's not a crunch in your low back, but those rib cage in the rib cage in the front is stretching with your elbows. Take a breath. Now open the elbows again. Spread a breath through that. On your exhale, close the elbows. Inhale, lift through the elbows, like lifting over the head more. Open the elbows again. Full breath. Elbows in. And then push through the arms. And just maintain it. You can stop the movement if you want. You can keep doing that, or you can just let your arms go. Just holding this a little bit longer. Now, if you can also stay in this, I'll kind of briefly explain the next one. We're going to take this into more of a supported fish. So you're keeping the block here. You would take one elbow at a time down. Fingertips would just graze where the butt is. And you're actually going to probably be higher than your block when you get this here, to where your elbows and your armpits would be close to each other. Now, Gavin has a dog in the way, but... So with your elbows down, you can now let your head back or have the block somewhere higher. You might have to move that and puff the chest a little bit higher than the block. See if you can almost not rely on the block entirely. You might have to let the arms go farther down towards the legs and give yourself more support, but eventually your head will be on the ground in this position. So if you feel safe in your neck, you can let the head just softly go. That keeps some pressure in your arms so you feel supported. Now very, very gently with this, take your time. You're going to put some pressure in the elbows. Slowly start to lift the head up, tuck the chin up, and then we're going to slowly come off with the blocks. From there, you're going to move the blocks out of the way, and we're going to lay all the way down. You can take a block if you want and put it in between your knees. Use both. Put your hands by your hips, bridge. And I'm using my elbows bending to give me a little bit more leverage. And now we're just trying to tap into some of the support that we have for the chest to open, right? So hugging at the inner thigh, kicking through the heels, and lengthening this front line. We're not dumping the pressure into the neck. Stay with it. We're gonna hold this for quite a bit, so try to find that underside. And if you need to take breaks, take breaks. Good, another big breath in. When you exhale, think butt down first. You're gonna back bend out of it, and then let your ribs come down. Good, take your blocks out of the equation. Move your knees a little bit. Good. From here, bring your knees in. Give yourself a nice hug. Kind of circle on the low back a little bit. Just be gentle. Move your head right, and then move your head left. We're going to do a rock and roll to a seat. So you can go underneath the legs and just slowly start to move through the spine. You can do it a few times if it feels good. And then all the way up, and we're going to flip to face you guys. So your feet will be hips width distance, knees. You might have to adjust this a little bit. So actually, let's take the hands behind so you can feel this first. We're going to do an inverted plank. So you're going to lift up like this, and if you start to feel too far from yourself, then move your feet so that the knees are on top of that, and hands are under shoulders. And then you can bring yourself back down for a second and take these blocks again. Between. Okay, I'm going to do it from the side so you can see. Gavin, you keep that angle. Okay. You lift up. Now, this should feel somewhat similar to our bridge on the floor as far as the legs are concerned. Now, you're probably getting a little bit more in the shoulders. You're going to think about driving the knees where the toes are pointing, lifting the hips up, and then try to play with the shoulders a little bit, right? Not aggressive, but notice where they can move for you. Are they kind of falling forward, Do you feel really pinched? Do you feel any movement at all? Do you feel a little stiff? And just breathe into that front space. Head can stay just like this. If you're feeling like you have safe mobility in your neck, you can let your chest open with the throat. Now, for those of you that have the head back, go ahead and lift it up just so you can see this next movement. What we're going to do, essentially, keeping everything the same, is you're going to stick your butt out to the ground, and then you're going to very gently lift it back up. Now you can do this with your head back, and then lift it back up. Go slow. Think booty to the ground, and then you slide it back forward. Now, super important with this, safe neck of course, but also keeping your knees in line with your toes as they're shifting. Lift through your chest as your butt goes down. So you're creating 2 points that are pulling away from each other. Let's do one more. It's very slow and isolated. Now on this last one, you're just going to lower all the way down, keeping your legs as they are. Actually, I can still stay this way. You're going to keep, you're going to take your hands, put them down in front of you, tent the fingers. You may not be up here. We actually don't want to be too close to the legs. You're going to try to get a little bit longer behind yourself. You can go a little wider too. From there, keeping your block, use your hands to lift your legs. I'm going to see that. Now you can straighten your legs if you want. I'm going to keep mine bent because I'm going to really use the block to find the inner thigh. Put pressure in the pads of your fingers and puff the chest through. Tap the toes, lift the legs. Do it again. Tap, lift. Tap, lift. Keep going. So it's important when we're starting to open up spaces to make sure that we're still aligning to the strength and the foundation that supports the stretch. So inner thigh, pelvic floor, low abdominals, super important for back bending and chest opening. Do 3 more. Breathe through it how it resonates with you, but you got to make sure you're breathing. Whew, it's hard. Okay, slowly come up, remove your block. And then you're going to take your hands behind you and just simply put weight into your feet, and we're going to fold over the legs. Finally, to a familiar place. So here's a spot where you can really use the sock, taking the hands behind the back, all 10 fingers, or use the sock or something. And you know, it is nice for those of you that generally just are like, oh yeah, I got my hands together. Sometimes just giving yourself a little bit more space to see what that circle can do is interesting, right? So going a little bit wider, you might find you can see what your range of motion is in different widths around. I would always suggest bending the knees. So it'll look a little bit more, instead of like this, like this. Okay, energize the legs, but keep the knees bent. You're going to keep your arms this way. We're going to do some spine swirls. So, very gently, keeping your knees very bent. Start by lifting your head and looking forward. Keep your arms reaching. You're going to slowly snake the spine up with your butt out, believe it or not. When you can see the ceiling and your legs start to straighten, push the arms down and lift through the chest more. Then you're going to bend the knees first. Slowly go all the way back to where you started. Spine lowers and then head lowers. Keep reaching through the arms. Try it again. Head first. Stick the butt out. Keep the knees bent until you're all the way up. Tailbone drops down at the top. Then bend the knees, stick the butt out, low belly in, arc through the upper back, head to the ground. Bend the knees more when you go down, babe. Go again, head first. Lift at the top of your head, stick the butt out, swirl it up, Pull the low belly in a line, and then stick the butt out, chest forward, pull, 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 push the arms away from you, head heavy at the end. Shake it out, no, no, no. Good, release the arms. Take a moment. From there, we're gonna do some arm swims. So with a little bit of a bend in the knee, put your hand underneath you. You can use your block if you want a little bit more height. We're gonna try to keep the spine in line with the pelvis and not a lot of movement in the pelvis. So with this, you're gonna take the arm back behind you, over the head, flip the palm, and then work it over. Now you don't have to be as close to your side as I am. You can go farther out wide. Palm flips, and you're just gonna go nice and slow through space. Bending the knees generously, scooping the low belly, and using that third arm on the ground. Well, third leg, not third arm. Notice where the movement starts to travel, right? Are you feeling your rib cage starting to back bend with it? That tends to happen for me. Just keep isolating it. Switch sides when you're ready. Breathing. Right, so not as much flow in this class as far as just movement goes, but there is still fluidity in your movement, right? So every inhale and exhale still matters. We're just not syncing it exactly up with the breathing. Good. Go ahead and let that go. Shake it loose. Remove your block. Go ahead and take your first half lift. Lengthen on your inhale. See how that feels. Chest open. Exhale, fold it down. Let's go to plank. Okay, so scoop the low belly as always. Take a moment to feel like you can really navigate the weight into your fingers. Cover your tippy toes. Lower all the way down. Okay, from there, you're gonna take your hands behind you, flat palms on your mat. They can go wider if needed. You can also, this is optional, but you can put a block between your inner thighs and hug the block here. So you know if you're squeezing your booty more than you're using your inner thigh, but you're still gonna squeeze your butt, but you're not gonna aggressively squeeze it. Now push your hands down, lift your chest up. These are back crunches. So when you're lifting your chest up, put pressure in your palms. Don't aggressively pinch the shoulder blades, but do pull them up or in and down the back. Lower down. Legs stay down. Go again. Lift it up. Lift it down. Lift it up. Lift it down. And up. And down. If you want to breathe this, inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Got one more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Hands come underneath the shoulders. Push back. Let's find down dog. Yeah, moving around. Give yourself some space. Take a big full breath in. And exhale. Inhale, look at your hands. On your exhale, bend one elbow down at a time for dolphin. Forearm on the dolphin. So you're going to keep your hands as flat as you can, and I would do them in line with your shoulders, so a little wider. You might have to be wider than shoulders with distance with your elbows if you have a little bit more strength and tightness there. Continue to bend the knees. Try to lift the booty up. Let the head go. If your head is very close to the floor, don't worry, that's normal. This is a prep for headstands and forearm stands. Fill up your back. And exhale. Okay, start to pull forward with your chest. Walk your feet back. Take forearm plank. So if you get to forearm plank and you're like, oh gosh, I'm trying to stretch my chest, we're gonna get there for sure. But keep your forearm plank as is, or bring your knees down. We're gonna do some forearm crunches or forearm push-ups. You're gonna lower your shoulders as much as you can without crunching, and then pull back up to the position. I like to do this on my knees for control. Lower down, press back up. Lowering down, press back up. Lower down, press back up. Let's do 2 more. Down and up, down and up, and then down all the way. Let your belly come down and we'll take Sphinx. So you're gonna walk your hands forward for Sphinx. Usually you want your elbows in line with your armpits, and that wrap of the first finger and thumb is still happening here, so it's nice. Legs are extending but down, chest pull through the arms. And this hopefully feels really nice after some of that core work earlier and all that strengthening. It's still gonna be tiresome for the shoulders though, right? Because we're holding ourselves up there. But the more stacked you are with your arms, the more the bones and alignment will help the muscles figure it out. Good, now you can keep this if you feel pretty good here. You're gonna keep one hand down, take the other arm out as an option. And I have a dog in front of me, but normally it'd be like right here, but that's his head. So I'm gonna go a little bit more forward, but you can play with this angle, what works for you. This is just to give us a little bit more of a kickstand. You're gonna reach through the same leg that you moved the arm out. You're gonna bend that heel up to the ceiling. We're not lifting the leg off the floor, the whole leg, just the foot. You're gonna squeeze the hamstring behind you in the glute and try to push the hands both down forward with your chest, not crunching the low back, to get length along the front by using strength and not so much just leverage. See how far you can get the heel down to your butt cheek without using the arm to help you. Because normally we would grab the foot here in a variation, in some variations. Reach that leg back, switch. Other arm down, other arm out. This should help you prevent this. You want to stay lifted from the floor. Now heel to butt cheek if you can. Keep the knee pointing in the same direction, no turning out the leg. And you'll be able to tell if your toes start pointing to the right or towards the opposite side. Spreading the toes can help you find that inner thigh. Good. Bring it back down. Take the hands underneath you instead of the elbows. Push up to the knees. Press to the balls of your feet. So, again, you can use a block in between. We're going to sit on the heels for a moment, and then we're going to move through some camel variation. But you want the balls of the feet down. I'm doing hips width distance because we're going to take it towards camel. If you want to do more narrow, that's up to you. That's going to be camel hard. You want your toes to go a little wider, babe, probably. You don't want to be dropping into the pinky side edge of the foot, right? So if you start to feel like you're stretching in the ankle on the outside, that might be happening. And if you have a block between your feet, you can push the ankles towards the block, and that can help. So this in itself might be enough, right? You can stay here. If you want to play with the movement of camel, it's very similar to kind of like this rippling feeling we've been doing in the spine. You're going to flip your palms out towards the heels, and you're going to put pressure down, so thumbs out, fingers in. You're going to use your hands first just to hinge back a little bit from your hips. From there, you're gently going to push the pelvis up, so think like bridge pose feeling in the legs. Then you're going to puff the chest, not the hips higher, but the chest behind you more. So I'm going to lift from the chest. Then, only then when I feel like I've lengthened, can I push the hips a little bit more forward. And I might move my head with it. I might keep my chin down. It depends. When I exit, I'm going to go butt first, head up last. Okay, so just again, push into the floor with your hands and the feet. Slowly hinge the torso back. Hips lift off the block. Puff the chest behind you and up and over. Then the hips can swing forward a bit. Head drops back. If you're feeling okay with this, head can stay back, or you can start to keep it up from there. Booty down, then chest ripples up. So I can show it again with just the head staying, not going back. Hinge the shoulders, or the torso. Lift the hips, puff the chest, push the hips forward, booty down first, arcing the back all the way out until you're back to normal. And you can always hold this too, I'm just moving through it. I'm gonna do one more movement. Hinge back, or movement through it. Hips up, puff, then hips higher over the knees, and then booty down, head stacks, nice and easy. Good. Let's come off the blocks and take down dog. Nice, you guys. So scrunching it up a little bit, moving it around, lift a leg, lift another leg. So we're gonna take, you can lift the leg and do the knee to nose, or you can just step the foot through. We're gonna do right foot through the hands. Go ahead and drop the back knee down, untuck those toes. You want your foot to be more in line with the hip and your back knee in line with the hip. And then we're just gonna walk it up. Now you can stay with this. If you want a little bit more emphasis of the chest, the back bend, hook the thumbs. Lift out of that lunge a little bit so you're not dumping. Scoop. If you feel like you're already lifted, you start to think about dropping down into that front heel. If this feels pretty good, keep that. Or hand grabs the wrist, you side bend. Try not to hike this standing hip up though, which I just did. You have to really isolate it, which I use my hands. I use myself to adjust a little bit on those parts that I can't figure out how to anchor. You can also go a little farther back with that side bend. Take one more inhale. On your exhale, bring the hands down. Now here again, we're gonna play with maybe prop use, maybe not. So you're gonna try to bend that back knee to grab the foot, and I will again switch the view, in which case grabbing the foot with both hands eventually, you could maybe need to use this sock or extra thing. So you're gonna very gently heel to butt cheek, kind of like what we did in our Sphinx. This dog is really heel to butt cheek. Grab one arm at a time. I'll do the same arm as back leg. Notice how that feels. This may be where you land. You do not have to go any farther. If you're feeling okay, grab the other arm. Try to grab, I like to grab it like right at the ankle, so I know exactly where the ankle is starting to sway. If you had a sock, you need a little bit more. It would look like this, right? And you're gonna be a little bit more hinged forward eventually. You're gonna point, or you're going to use the arms to lean forward, but you might be more upright. Something else you can do, if this is feeling like too much, put a blanket underneath your knee. But never going too far. Take another breath. Good. Exhale, release the grip. Let's take it back to plank. Right leg back. Let's just pull through a chaturanga vinyasa. So you're going to pull forward, lower halfway or all the way. Take a nice elongated down or up dog, right? So just take a moment to shrug, to lengthen that front line. Go back to down dog. Okay, and again, you can lift the other leg up or just step it. I'm going to just step it, left foot through. Bring your back knee down, untuck those toes, walk up. If this feels good, stay here. You can also reach out to go up, to stretch a little bit more out of the legs. Maybe you take it to the side, grab the wrist, anchor the hip, pull the front of the belly in. Right, all these little cues help you really wrap around the body, right? Where do you start to lose that, or lose the stability? Keep trying to find the emphasis of foundation. Just trying to reorganize how things in the body engage, especially if it's not serving you anymore. Okay, from there, you come down, gently bend the knee up, or the heel up, not the knee. You can reach back with same arm first, and the shoulder flips where the thumb is down, because we're going to try to hold both. And then you grab around the other side. You might have to be upright like this to get it. You might need to take your sock or your strap, grab that instead. You might need to pad your knee. Eventually we're going to lean forward. The craziest thing for me on this side is that I feel this much more as a strengthener than a stretch anywhere. So my front leg is like working crazy to help me hold on to the position while I'm working this right quad. Some of you might feel this very differently too. That doesn't make it to where you're wrong if you're not feeling that. It's just lots of ways to experience it. Yeah, let's come on out. From there, go ahead and take your plank, and then you can work towards finding your vinyasa chaturanga, or you can go right back to down dog. I'm going to go a little wider with my legs and my up dog and make it a little bit more seal-ish. Okay, thanks guys. So from here, you're just going to bend the knees, walk all the way to the top of your mat, and roll up to standing. Now once you're standing, we're going to go against a wall. So if you have a wall near you, hopefully, I didn't even talk about that in the beginning, but try to find one. We're just going to do some stretches for the chest and shoulders. So you're going to come up to against the wall. Gavin will use that one, and I'll use this one. You can kind of see from both views. You're going to put your hands against the wall. Start like, I don't know, almost 2 feet with 2 feet of distance from the wall. And then you're going to slowly start to arc the chest towards it. You want your arms to be about shoulders so they can go wider, especially if you know your down dog arms are wider, go wider. Then when you start to put your chest to the wall, you start to stick your butt out. You can look up the wall, you can look at the wall. You might need to adjust where you are. Totally breathe into the front side if you can. Slowly peel back from the wall. Let's isolate it a little bit more. We're going to take this into the forearms. So you're going to take your hands together for now, 10 fingers. Put your elbows against the wall. And you're going to start to pull your chest towards the wall with the forearms bent. You're probably not going to have your face against the wall for this one. We're going to try to get into that shoulder space a little bit more. You can still look up too. Wrap. I'm going to see that well. Wrap and pull the chest. The chest will go a little bit more towards the floor. You can really feel the movement of the shoulders. Still scooping the low belly too. So we're not just completely dumping. Soft knees. You can take the head out of it or look up towards the hands. Slowly come up out of that one. Now one more shoulder stretch. Keeping the elbow bent, you're going to kind of look like a goalpost arm. You're going to take the hand to the wall and then pull your chest around. You can also just do this against like a door frame Doesn't have to be completely flat against the wall. And switch. Other side. If you don't have a wall, and you're still with us, you can also do this one against the floor, which we've done before, right? Where you just put your belly down, you frame it up, or you have it out long, and you take the leg away from it. This is just a little bit more accessible in standing. Okay, release that. Come back to your mat. Let's play with some balancing. So let's first just do a dancer's pose variation where it's instead of the arm going on the inside of the foot, we're going to go on the outside of the foot. So in this variation, you're going to stay a little bit more propped up in your upper body. And we're going to not try to emphasize just crunching the low back. We're going to try to move away from that space with the ribs. So I'm going to face this way, Gavin will face towards you. You're going to take your hand to the pinky side edge, pick one leg, it's up to you. And notice for me, I have quite a bit of tension already in my quad and my hip flexor, so I'm going to just think about pulling up a little bit more, and that may mean my knee goes in front of me, but at least I'm holding integrity at the base already. You also don't want to have your standing hips sliding forward like this. Slide it back and ground. Now the other arm can start to lift however you want. You can flip the palm forward, you can face it like a chalice, but try to lift from the back. The chest can also open a tiny bit in this. You're going to kick when you're ready. And I would say the moment you start to see or feel your knee turning out, don't go any farther. Try to keep the hug of that leg behind you and that standing hip up and back. The leg may start to lift higher. Keep breathing. Good. Slowly release that side. Shake it out. And then we're going to switch. So other arm, other leg, pinky side edge. You can hold your hip if that helps kind of figure out where you're at. Scoop the front up a little bit. Take that arm up. Lift the ribs with the arm and slowly kick. You'll notice too, I'm trying to let my shoulder relax in the position forward. I'm not letting it kind of get kicked back because that crunches me up. So if you do have a lot of mobility there, you have to isolate it. Those of you that don't feel what I'm talking about at all, you just keep kicking. And like this is the shape as much as the leg kicking up is the shape. So remember, you can land anywhere along that movement pattern. Nice. Okay, release that side, shake it out. Okay, we're going to do one more of these. This one's going to be like what we did in our lunge. So you might, again, want to play with your prop, in which case, well, you could also do this with a strap. If you have a strap, you put your foot around it, you cross the strap, and then you step over it, and then you can hold it like this, and you walk your hands closer to getting them together. If you want to use the sock, you can put it over the top of the foot and then hold it from behind. If you're okay with grabbing the foot as it is, take that hand like we just had it, take the other hand like you just had it. You can get 10 fingers back there, great. You're going to try to hold on to both hands to one foot. Now trying again, not to let that top hip swivel. Pull it up, low belly in, now start to kick. This one we're going to try not to overpinch the shoulder blades. Relax the shoulders forward for those of you that feel that. And then puff the leg up. Lift the chest from the hips. Yeah, it's kind of like a rocking horse. One-legged balance rocking horse. Whew. Think inner thigh, knee in. Good, release. Shake it out. Prep the other side. So again, I can kind of show you that if you did it with a strap, put the strap down, step on it, cross it so you've got a little bit more to work with, step over it, ravel it. Grabbing your foot if you haven't yet, go for it. Keep watching how the swivel of that standing hip happens. I know for me that's a big part of like anchoring because I have more mobility up here, so it pulls everything with it at the base. You can tilt down in this one, but it's not about going to here, right? You don't want to have the heel of the butt cheek kind of resting there to go forward. You want to have energy out from the grip. Whew. Nice, let's let it go. Shake it out. Okay, so we have about 10 minutes left. And I had so much more I wanted to do, but that's okay, that's what happens. I would like to practice wheel, and I was gonna play with it against the wall, but I don't think we have time for that today, so let's just practice it laying down on the ground for now. So you can always do this from bridge. If you do not feel safe doing a wheel practice, please stick with bridge. You can always Zoom chat me at some time and we can talk about how to get you there. But for now, let's just work on the back. And I'll talk through wheel. We're going to do 3 of these. You can do all wheels. You can do any variation of bridge through it. You can do some of the things we did in the beginning if that was resonating with you. You could put a block underneath your hips, right at the sacrum for a supported yin leg bridge. So get your knees set up. I'm gonna talk through bridge first again. Go lay down, Higby. This is my dog Higby. He likes to practice with me. I'll show you the first set, the supported bridge. So you're gonna put your hips up. If you're taking bridge regular, just lift, or you put the block right about where that sacrum is. And this can be where some of you land and you stay here the entire 3 sets. Those of you that are lifting for bridge regular, lift all the way up. If you're taking wheel, you flip the hands by the ears, try to hug the elbows in, hug in at the knees, slowly lift, and start to find the stretch of your chest. I'm not aggressively punching my pelvis up. I'm squeezing from the underside, hugging in, and trying to let my head go over time. You can let your head go through the arms and push through the chest a little bit, but be very, very careful. Let's exit this first one. Those of you that have the support of the blocks, you can stay there. If you need a break though, when you exit, you're going to try to back bend out after removing the blocks. If you're on the ground, go ahead and move your knees right and left. And we're going to do it again. I'm going to see if this angle is a little bit better. Okay, I'm going to show it from this side too. Second set, go for it. Lift up, whatever version you want. For those of you with a pretty confident wheel practice, I'll show some variations you can play with. So if you've lifted up to wheel, eventually, if you feel mobile enough, you can put one elbow down at a time. And this is going to help us prepare for forearm stand in a way of figuring out how to exit it. Right? How do we land when we're upside down and the legs fall behind us? You can lift the toes or the heels up too if this is too much on the low back. And when I exit this, I'm just going to let my head drop, tuck chin, and lower all the way down. You could go all the way back up to wheel again too. Move it around, knee right, knee left. Okay, you got one more set of this. Pick and choose. When you're ready, lift. Breathe. Slowly lower. Chin down. All the way to the floor. Nice, you guys. Bring it in. Hug your knees. And drop over or under. And just notice the feeling of the entire spine and torso breathing into the floor. We're going to take our passive twist. So you're going to keep one leg in. I'll keep the right leg in. Left leg long. And you're going to take that leg across the body. And just let that whole right side or whatever leg is above you, that whole side of the torso spins open. And you're not forcing, you're not pushing. Let the crossing from that bottom hip front all the way across the torso to your right armpit space just open up with breath. Let's switch sides. Bring it all back together and in. And then other side. I don't know if you can hear that, but there's a church that we live right next to that has the most amazing songs and bells at certain times of the day. And we really enjoy it. Take another big breath. And exhale. Come back to your neutral. Go ahead and move it around a little bit. Find maybe knees hugging in, happy baby pose. This will be the point of class where if there's anything that you're like, oh man, I need this in my body right now, and you know what that thing is, take it. We did not open our hips on the outer side a lot, so you might want something to do that. Something I like from the back, just to get into that, would be like crossing the legs, bending the knees, and trying to grab up and over the ankles. So this is like cow face on your back, and then you pull the feet down, but you want the feet to be flexed and in line with your knees. And you don't want the butt to excessively lift. And give you a little bit of a stretch there, or a lot of a stretch. And just make sure if you're doing one side of something, you switch it. If you're ready to start falling into Shavasana, you can always lengthen there a little early. For those of you that haven't quite gotten to Shavasana yet, start to work yourself there. Finding your restful position. As usual, set a timer, play a song, do something that helps you just find your meditation and practice through it a little bit more with stillness, right? We've definitely been meditating through movement, but stillness can really show you maybe some of the things that you've started to move around mentally, they might start to rise up. I'm going to read just a little short something. This is actually from something I posted a while ago. I don't even know if I posted who it's by, but I liked it, and I think right now it's relevant. Whoever it was that said this, the process of change can feel scary and uncomfortable. Keep the faith and trust that as you become more empowered, life organizes in new ways. Don't run or quit during a reorganization process. Instead, keep the faith and know that this is happening for your favor and in your best interest. So keep on keeping on. Let's take a breath. Exhale everything out. Full inhale, expand your space. And exhale. Namaste.
Namaste.
Hope you have a beautiful day and the rest of your weekend. Keep an eye out for our tutorials. I'll be launching them next week.